Hey guys! Welcome to Planes Fly Here, the official podcast of the Northwest Arkansas National Airport. My name is Olivia Moore.
And I'm Heather Anderson. This podcast will take you behind the scenes from how XNA operates to current and future events.
Wheels up!
We got through our first episode and now we're on to our second one. And I think we're getting more comfortable and I love all the different interviews we're doing and what we have in store.
Oh, right. And I just love being able to sit down, a little bit every month and just being able to talk about XNA and also catch up with you, Heather, because that's always nice. So we're back. We're happy to be here. So how are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we're kind of a dynamic duo in here.
Absolutely.
Like our Russell, the police chief, he put together our initials and he just calls us O.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
Because we're always chatting.
Well, our offices are kind of right across the hall from each other, so we're just yelling to each other. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't even get up from our desk.
Or giving each other just faces. Like,
yes.
Just looking at each other and smiling.
Yeah. Well, our interview today is with Nick, our CIO, and he's actually in the room with us right now, so we're just going to kind of kiki with him. He doesn't know what kiki means.
Mm-mm. Well, I kind of do now that you guys told me.
We taught him what kiki is. So, Nick, why don't you tell us what you think kiki is?
It is the ability to sit down and just have a social conversation and hang out and relax, and you just kiki.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing right now, having a kiki.
Kiki, you love me.
So, how are you?
Good, doing really well. Mm-hmm. Having fun, enjoying life.
Have you traveled anywhere?
I have. Recently, a month ago, we went to Seaside, Florida. Big family vacation, the whole family. My wife and her family, and we did the direct from Allegiant out of XNA down to Destin.
Yeah, a lot of people
Fantastic, dude. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, you're on the plane for an hour and 15 minutes and you're in Florida on the beach.
Boom.
Boom. Done.
I miss the beach so much.
I love the beach.
Yeah. We're both West Coasters.
Sure. Originally West Coaster at heart.
Olivia's the homegrown.
Mm-hmm. Born and raised, baby.
So, cool. Well, we're going to get right into the interview with Mr. Nicholas.
Looking forward to it.
So we're here with Nicholas Fondano. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah.
Okay. He is our Chief Infrastructure Officer, the CIO, and he's going to just run us through all the fun projects that are happening at XNA. We're excited to have you.
We have a lot going on at XNA.
We do.
And you are the person to talk to when we're talking about all of the construction that's happening around the airport. So essentially, we wanted you to be on the podcast so you can walk us through that. First off, what is it that you do?
Yeah, so what is it I do? That's a great question. I help ensure that roadblocks and issues are mitigated on projects so teams can succeed in completing those projects. And so we have a great team out here that helps with that. But ultimately, the responsibility that our group has in the construction department is managing anything that's impacted from an infrastructure standpoint, albeit utilities underground, paving, constructing taxiways, the terminal modernization, which is a large extension, maintenance campus additions, etc. So anything that kind of gets encompassed in building new facilities, retrofitting existing facilities out here, our group kind of helps handle and coordinate those processes throughout the entire campus.
Cool. Well, now that we know exactly what you do, I didn't even know what infrastructure was. So I was like, because we also have Ken, who's also a CIO technically, but he's more technical.
Yeah, that's infrastructure related to data, systems, communications, etc. We have a lot of cross-pollination in our roles because things that I do impact Ken or vice versa. And so we're in constant communication about infrastructure, if you will, right? And, Ken's a great guy to work with, but yes, kind of two separate roles with similar names and titles.
Yeah. Cool. Well, how long have you been here?
At XNA, I started in 2020, if I remember correctly. So I started mid-pandemic, You
Fun.
know, who's the crazy guy taking a job at an airport where the industry is completely tanking? Yes, but so I've been here since 2020, so we're going on 3 years now. Maybe 2021 is when I started. I'm sorry, I don't really remember. I know my employee is I was the 433rd employee here.
There you go.
But started during mid-pandemic and worked through that time frame of the pandemic, and then things have really escalated since then. You know, when I first got here, it was like there's no money, there's no planes flying, we're not sure about the industry, how long the rebound's going to take, etc. And then all of a sudden, it just took off out of nowhere, which has been it's been great being here and staying active and busy and keeping up with the pace of
Yeah,
things
that's
happening out
crazy.
here. Yeah, it's wild.
So this is a big question, but walk us through not only how you got to XNA, but how you got into construction aviation.
Okay. So I'll start at the far end and work my way up. How I got into aviation from construction. So at my previous professional life, I worked for a company that wanted to start getting into the aviation sector of construction. And this at this time I was working in Phoenix, Arizona, for them, and they asked, "Does anybody want to help manage these projects we're going to try and go get out at Sky Harbor or Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport?" And I kind of raised my hand and said, "Sure, would love to be a part of that." And that's where it really started. And we landed several projects out at Mesa Gateway. We landed quite a few, and then even more so at Sky Harbor when they built their new terminal. We landed a bunch of retrofits out there of tenant space build outs. Um, and so that's how I started, was just purely raising my hand saying, sure, sounds great. Let's go build in an airport. Have no idea what we're doing, no idea how it's going to go. Don't know the rules of engagement out there, but let's figure it out as we go. We had a good leader at the time who knew a lot about aviation and kind of took us under his wing, for lack of a better term, to help manage those projects. And so that's how I got into it. Cut to, wife and I decided to move to Northwest Arkansas. Her family's from here. We've been coming here vacationing for quite a while. We decided to just leave Phoenix and move here. I worked remotely at the time, so pre-pandemic, I was one of those few that actually worked from home and remotely, which was interesting. But as being the social butterfly that I am, that kind of weighed on me slightly, and I wanted to get out and experience more of connection with people than just being at home in a new place that I knew no one. So my wife worked with our CEO's wife at Specialized Real Estate Group, and they started talking at a Christmas party. Aaron was looking for somebody to help manage projects because the person that was previous in this position had moved on. He found out that I had done projects in aviation in Phoenix, and we started talking, and here I am.
That's great. That's interesting that you started out solely in construction, and I'm sure there was quite a bit of a learning curve when it came to aviation construction. So, as I can imagine, there are a lot of different rules and regulations for that. Has that been difficult to learn as you were starting your professional career in aviation construction?
Sure. Difficult, no, because the methodology in which you build is still the same, right? It's the learning the nuances of the industry tied to specific standards associated to specifically horizontal construction. The FAA has great regulations and standards on how you actually build pavement sections and what you do there for lighting, etc. So quite a bit of those that I did not know, so having to learn those concepts. But then the other big challenge is logistically actually building a project at an airport with, you have TSA, you have our badging system for security into SIDA, and AOA movement areas. I mean, the whole nine. So it's a larger logistical challenge that actually changes from place to place, because what I did in Phoenix at those airports, even those two airports themselves were completely different versus coming out here. And so that's the biggest piece is taking the time to digest the logistical sequence of how X&A operates and how the airport operates to understand how construction will progress, but then also absorbing all those standards in terms of building practices, guidelines by the FAA, engineering standards, etc. So,
Well, Yeah, it's crazy how from airport to airport it can be so different.
Oh, absolutely different
Like,
from each place.
yeah.
But that's the same too in retrospect that if you went into, let's just take a hospital, for instance, because I have also worked in those conditions. And even hospitals under the same name brand, but the separate hospitals in the same city have different environmental rules in which apply to that specific building, that specific floor you might be on, the wing of the hospital, right? So it's just like everybody has their own set of standards, and you kind of look at it as like you know how to play in a sandbox, but what are the rules of that sandbox? Right? You're still building the things that you need to build. It's the same materials, just brought to a different location and installed in a way that logistically works for that place.
So, kind of switching gears here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the terminal modernization project.
I don't think that's in the room anymore.
Right.
So when I first joined, so that project has been going on since conceptually like 2017 out here, maybe even a little bit earlier, so way before my time. It went through several renditions of design, budgeting. I mean, at one point it was a straight bridge off the terminal that had a four-story admin office and mixed-use thing. I mean, it was crazy, right? But we've got to where we're at today. When I first started, it was called the Sky Bridge because we had a bridge that connected the terminal to the second floor of the deck. And then with how the economy has escalated itself in pricing, that bridge piece alone was $21.5 million. And the leadership group and team out here, and even board, looked at that and said, you know, what's the value that that's going to provide us? So we removed that piece of the project, and it was called the Skybridge, and we've transitioned the name to the Terminal Modernization. And the underlying baseline concept of this entire project and how it originally started is ADA compliance and redundancy. So currently in our terminal, we have one elevator and one set of escalators. And so if those go down, it's really hard logistically out here to move people that need assistance getting up to the second floor of TSA to that second floor. You have to take them outside, post security with a police officer, with a TSA agent, with somebody escorting them as well. So there's three people to move one person. Get them up, and that doesn't even get them past TSA. Then they have to go into the TSA line and do all the screening that any other passenger would have to do. So the baseline concept of this project started with we need additional redundancy by adding additional elevators and escalators inside the main part of the terminal. Hence the terminal modernization. We started looking at things and saying, what else could we manipulate inside the terminal to get a seamless look and feel through the ticketing counters all the way to baggage claim out here. And that's really where this project has materialized, in the sense that it's baseline redundancy and compliance in terms of ADA, getting a new look and modern feel to the face and interior side of the terminal, which will then hopefully progress to the rest of the remaining concourses out here as well, concourse B, concourse A, etc. And so that's really the forefront of that thing. It's been quite a long journey to get to this point. Mm-hmm. Glad we got there. Nabholz is the prime contractor. They're doing a great job out there. They have a great team managing this project, and we're really barely in the infancy stages of this 2.5 year project. We're a couple months in. They've got a lot done. Demo is complete on the exterior. We are doing underground utility tie-ins, footings, foundations are big milestones, and then pouring the actual foundation for the building itself will get extended about 35 feet to the south. It'll create an additional between the two floors, 5,000 square feet for the terminal. It'll look fantastic when it's done. Height Jackson did a great job of helping that design evolve from that 2017 milestone all the way to where we are today. So it's been a great journey to be a part of, and glad we're finally moving forward with this thing. And passengers seem to understand the concept that we're doing construction at an airport and there's going to be some impacts, and what you knew 6 months ago is not what it's today. So it seems to be working well.
Yeah, I really like seeing all those renderings of what it's
Yeah.
gonna look like, and so I'm excited just for it to be done, just to just see it. But I know there's gonna be a lot of obstacles, but you got to go through them to have a great change and make something beautiful out of it.
Yeah. If everyone thinks this is impactful, the next phase when we come inside the building to renovate is going to be significantly more impactful at that point.
Right.
And so this is well managed, and not saying the next phase won't be. It's just managed from the concept of we're contained within ourselves for that project. The next piece is we're going to be commingling with passengers during construction, right? And so it's like we'll have areas blocked off by baggage claim or ticketing that we're going to be working on that you now have just lost, 300 square feet out there from one night to the next. And you won't get it back for another 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it's going to be fun.
So, for those of us who don't know, which is me, walk us through the preliminary steps of creating such a huge project.
So the steps of that. Holistically, the airport, or realistically, I should say, not holistically, realistically, the airport has an airport master plan or an airport layout plan, both similar. And what that does is it sets you on a trajectory of building sizing and types of buildings and or functionality of those buildings based upon the amount of emplanements we have out here as an airport. And that's a 20 to 30 year growth perspective on projects. And so the Sky Bridge is one piece of those that when we hit a certain amount of emplanements, we're going to need additional space, circulation space inside the terminal for passengers, for customers, for all the vendors that are out there, ticketing, baggage claim, all that stuff. And so that we earmark those projects and go, okay, what is the reasoning for adding that space? What do we need to do for that? And so you look at that airport layout plan and say, okay, that's the project we need to target and why. And this one, as I mentioned earlier, is that ADA additional redundancy. And so you start with that concept. It's like, okay, we need to expand because of X. And X on this project happens to be the ADA component of it. So how do we do that in a realistic sense? Add elevators, add escalators, while still maintaining functionality of our existing ones. Okay, now that you're adding square footage of this building, what other amenities could you add to this that would be additionally served to not only XNA as a terminal and operator of the airport, but also for our customers that could provide some relief space, charging at seats, some additional amenities before you go into TSA, etc. And so you start by listing out items that you want to achieve, and you send out an RFP or an RFQ to design firms and engineer firms to solicit their ideas, their costs, their timeline of being able to help us design what the vision is for this project and how it would evolve. And so you go through that process of design selection, and we have elected on this project, which is one of the first ones in our region for the FAA, is a CMAR project, so it's construction manager at risk. We sent out RFQs for that as well, requests for qualifications for contractors to help and aid the design team with managing a budget while implementing design, right? So you're not creating a design that's really off base of what the budget could be or should be based upon the funding that XNA is going to allocate toward this project. So you selected a design team, now you're selecting a contractor, you marry those two together, you help develop the design and the budget and the schedule seamlessly together. This project was on task to do that, and then the pandemic hit. And so we've had to retool, reshape design with everybody still on board. But yeah, you ultimately start with, what do we need this for? What's the intent? How do we get this intent? Supplemental benefits. Okay, let's move this thing forward. And then once you align on a budget and you get buy-in from the FAA on that budget, on the project, the need for it, the reality behind it, and then you also get your board to help approve that project, And here we are today. You're moving it forward. You're committing you're financially committing to that project, and you're saying, we're going to do this, and this is the reason why.
There you go. So now that we have the terminal modernization kind of explained, and because everybody's like, what is exactly happening? And so are you able to tell us what else is in store for XNA, like the future projects? I know you've mentioned in like the board meetings of the different other projects besides modernization.
Sure.
Maybe it is a part of modernization, but can you share anything about those?
Absolutely. So short-term docket that we have planned, we are going to be expanding our commercial apron out here to the west. We've already priced that project. It's about a $13 million project. And what that project allows us to do is in the future build Concourse B, which will mirror Concourse A. We have some other design concepts associated to that, but just to keep it short and simple, it's Concourse B. Kind of where those Seagate concourses are right now, the big metal ones that were set there temporarily, but to provide us a full additional concourse. By adding that western apron, we're able to build that secondary concourse, B concourse, or some people have alluded to it as the western concourse, without impacting the amount of jet bridges we have available. If we did not do this western apron expansion, we would have an impact to our operations, which doesn't seem fruitful for us to go down that venture. So that's one. We're installing the western apron. It's a huge concrete expansion. It'll also provide us additional overnight parking for aircraft that stage here. So there's that. We're going to be starting an asphalt rehabilitation project on the land side of the campus, right? So campus is set up airside, landside. And so we're going to be rehabilitating our asphalt over the next 2 months. We're starting that on the 24th with a local contractor. And that's phase one of a multi-year phase rehabilitation. We're in the process right now of doing an air traffic control tower design. We're at the 90% design process. We have a review next Thursday on that, and we're hopefully going to be building a tower next year. 164 feet in the air. Be one of the tallest structures in all of Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it's going to be pretty sweet to be able to do that. We're in design of a communication building. So as folks out here call it, our comm center. So the comm center is literally the brain and heart of this entire place. Every piece of information transmits through there. Police, fire, security, airlines, all operations, etc. And so right now it's inside the terminal, and we want to relocate it out to give it its own standalone building. So we're in design of that, and we're hopefully going to be building that next year as well. But then large scale stuff, again, we're going to be sending out an RFP to build a con rack. So essentially, it's a parking deck for rental cars.
Oh.
Because right now our rental cars occupy the first floor of our deck and some additional surface parking. But this would give them their own standalone parking garage to help service customers and have better amenities in it for them, etc. I think that's it from the short-term standpoint. We have a bunch of small projects too that we work on all the time. Like we're doing a facilities indoor air quality upgrade or a smart control system on all our HVAC systems right now with Train and multi-craft contractors. We just got done installing 8 new EV charging stations on the parking deck. And so we're always picking up small things to move them forward. And there's always something going on out here. Like we just built a new maintenance building last year, renovated our old one. We had the TSA pre-check screening office that's downstairs. So there's always something happening out here. But those are kind of the quick and short of it of upcoming projects or things we're working on today.
What are you most excited for?
In life or at work?
At work.
At
or
work.
Both.
I'm really excited. The reason why I asked is I'm really excited. We have a child coming end of September.
Yeah.
So it'll be number 2. So I'm super excited for that.
That's huge news that just dropped. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thanks. So really super excited. Looking forward to that. But then at work, I think honestly, the terminal modernization project it's going to change the entire look and feel of this campus.
Yeah.
And so it's been as we've been working with design teams on other projects out here, we reference it as it's setting the precedent to how we want the rest of the campus to give that visual aspect to our customers or even people that work here, right? And so it's the tone that project's going to set is going to change the face of X&A moving forward. So I'm really, really excited about that, to move that thing and get it done behind us in a good way. But then also have that be the, beacon, if you will, of change throughout the campus. So that's what I'm really, really excited for. And also just the fact that what excites me is just like the small things we can do out here from a construction standpoint to help with our operations, our maintenance teams, our police, our fire, just all those small things that we can do out here to help move projects forward that make things a little bit better or easy for everybody. I mean, it was small, but we just did the flooring rehabilitation and the exterior painting on the fire department building, right? Albeit it's small, it's very impactful, right?
Right.
New floor looks great, fix some issues, but then painting the outside and it's just like feels like a whole new world to them, right? Which is great. You want to keep folks happy and engaged, and if the way we can do that is implementing change, I'm all for it.
Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We really appreciate it, and I know that the listeners really wanted to hear about what's happening at the airport, especially with the terminal modernization project, because they see the construction, but they don't necessarily see the bigger picture of it all. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
All right.
Well, we're super happy that Nick decided to come on the pod.
Yeah, he's super awesome, and it's really cool to kind of see what he does and kind of where he's come from, and just exciting things like he's having a baby.
Right. I didn't even know that. I was shocked. I mean, congratulations to him and his wife. So our next segment is going to be our June 2023 employments. June 2023 was our highest employment month in the history of the airport.
Oh my gosh.
So we broke that record, and we just got news about that. So spirits are high in the office right now.
Oh yeah.
In terms of numbers, June 2023, we had 97,842 emplaned passengers.
Wow.
Our best month in the history of the airport previously was June 2019. As I said in the last podcast, 2019 was our best year ever, and so we often compare 2023 and 2019. We were up 7.2% from June 2023 compared to June 2019. June 2019 had 91,305 emplaned passengers. So we didn't just break the record, we substantially broke the record.
Oh yeah.
So we're very happy about that. In terms of comparing 2022 and 2023, for the month of June, we were up 17.8%.
Oh, wow.
So we're very happy with that, and we hope to just continue to see the airport grow.
So now the current happenings, we have a lot going on. Probably our biggest is our guest passes that are waiting for approval, and then the Cafe X robot. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited about that one.
The Cafe X?
Yes.
I'm just excited to see it go to work.
Oh, I know. And plus, I really like Onyx coffee.
Oh, yeah.
A good iced coffee from anywhere is... Yeah.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, Cafe X, or as we're calling it, Bionics, is a coffee robot with a mechanical arm that can make Onyx coffee very quickly, consistently, efficiently. So all customers will have to do is simply go up to the kiosk, put in their order on a touch screen, and then they will be getting any specialty coffee they want, whether that be lattes, mocha, espresso, drip coffee. So I think we are planning on having that installed by August.
Yeah, and it'll be over by Einstein Bagels, kind of next to Smokewood, near the Concourse A, but it's pretty much center in the terminal. So even if your flight is in the B gate, it's a really quick walk to that Cafe X robot.
Right. And so what we love about that is it's Cafe X, but it's Onyx coffee. So it has that local flair of Northwest Arkansas. So we're very excited. I know Heather and I are very excited. We'll be making trips. We'll try to limit ourselves to once a week, but
definitely. Yeah, and then guest passes, we're still kind of waiting on that to get approved, but it should be soon. And that's where, friends and family, they can get that guest pass and they can go visit the Cafe X robot and kind of sit with their friends and family until they go off. And I know that'll be a huge appreciation for like parents with young kids like traveling by themselves. So I know growing up that my dad, he always came with us to the gate, and it was nice because like going back and forth, and so that little bit of time left with him was awesome. So
right, we're very excited about that. So we have one more thing left to be approved. All people will have to do is go down to our TSA pre-check application center and get registered, and then they'll have to go through TSA security, but it's completely free, and we're excited to see that come to the airport.
Cool Your Jet.
Cool Your Jets. I think we decided that that's going to be the name.
Yeah, we didn't get any opposed, and we didn't get any for yes. Like I said, I feel like I see so many cool planes lately, and I think this one that I'm going to be talking about is not only a plane, but it's also a helicopter.
What?
I know, super cool. We had 3 Bell Boeing V-22 Ospreys land here, and it's really cool just to see them land and then take off and turn into like a plane. So they have 2 really big propellers, and so there's a rotor that can turn horizontally and vertically, so then it has that option to be a plane in the helicopter.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and they're super loud. Yeah, I think it's because how big those propellers are, it just increases the the audio of it. And so, yeah. So basically it's an American multi-mission tilt-rotor military aircraft. It was produced in the 80s, so not very long ago.
Right.
And I think it took flight 89, but really they didn't start using them until like the early 2000s.
Oh, wow. That's super interesting.
I know. And there's only 400 in the world, according to Wikipedia. But really, the Marines, Air Force, and Navy use them, and also Japan Special Defense Forces. But it's American made, so our American troops normally use it. It's a partnership between Bell Helicopter and Boeing Helicopters, so they kind of came together to create this aircraft. So, like I said, it was kind of started in the early 2000s. The Marine Corps began crew training in 2000, but they actually fielded it in 2007. But really, it's core operations is for transportation, and the Navy planned to use it for carrier onboard delivery duties. A lot of people came off of it, so obviously it can transport, I think it's up to like 15 soldiers. I don't know, I saw a lot of people get off of them, and then it just has that big, it's not quite as big as like a C-130, but it does the job.
Yeah, so, like I said, you posted that on our socials, so if you want to check it out and see what it looks like, be sure to follow us.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode. It was a really fun episode.
I always love doing this with you.
I know, and next time we'll keep our interview guest a secret for now.
Yeah, maybe just guess who it's going to be.
Yeah.
But usually at this point we would do airmail.
But we didn't receive any, but it's okay. It's all good.
It's okay, guys.
But we'll try to do it next time. So if you have any of those questions, feel free to email us at business.development@flyxna.com, or you can even DM us your questions at our socials, which is at flyxna. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and even Threads. So you can send those our way through DM, or maybe even use the hashtag #PlanesFlyHere.
Yeah, that's great. And we are happy to answer your questions. So just send them along to us. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Planes Fly Here. If you like the podcast, be sure to follow us on whatever you're listening to right now and drop us a rating.
You can also keep up to date with what's happening at the airport by following us on social media at FlyXNA. Thanks, guys.